Should you or any writer get a creative writing degree? Well, I have a creative writing degree, and in this video I am going to answer that question. Let's dive right in. So since I have a creative writing degree, the question, should I get a creative writing degree, sounds to me like, was it worth it? And there's a lot to pack in there to answer that question, but to shorten it up, for me, I would say yes, it absolutely was worth it. Is it worth it for everybody, though? My answer is going to be a tentative no, although I don't want to judge for other people's experience, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience in graduate school, the positives and the negatives, and what you might want to consider before making your decision about going to graduate school in creative writing right now, or going in the future, or not going at all. For the record here, I'm talking about master's degrees in creative writing. That's what I have, an MA in creative writing. I also have a BA in philosophy. That was at a different school years ago. It was about a decade between my two degrees, actually a decade between my graduation of undergrad and starting my graduate degree, at least a decade passed there. So I was a much older, more mature person when I made a decision to go to creative writing school. I also was a published author and had already made money off of my work, had been paid by other people to write things for them or to proofread things for them or to ghostwrite for them. I'd already given proof of concept in the world of writing before I decided to go to creative writing graduate school. So if you want to get an undergrad degree in creative writing, what I would say is go right ahead, unless you have a career track on lock that requires you to have a certain undergrad curriculum in mind. So if you want to be a doctor, in order to get into medical school, you got to have a certain amount of science courses in your undergrad, and if you're studying creative writing, it might be hard to cram all those in. Maybe you can double major, but otherwise, if you're going into medicine or some other field like that, there might be some required courses that you have to take, a required major that you have to have in undergrad in order to get you into graduate school. But with those few exceptions, most companies don't really care what your undergraduate major is. I worked in corporate purchasing for a large industrial supply company, sitting in the cubicle, entering numbers in spreadsheets. It paid well, had good benefits, was really boring work. But I did that for 7.5 years with a philosophy degree, shortly out of college. So they don't care. Most companies don't care what your degree is. The degree is just proof of concept. It shows that you can go there and finish something and actually do the work. But a master's degree is a little different. A master's degree is a more specialized degree. As you get further up in the graduate levels, the more specialized you get. And a master's degree in creative writing, well, that's what I'm going to be talking about here. So if you're going to get an undergrad degree, go for it in creative writing. As long as it's not going to derail you from your future plans, I would say whatever you want to major in is absolutely a good call. That said, now that we're getting into the graduate programs, there are things you shouldn't expect a creative writing degree to do for you. For one, it's not going to make you a great writer. If you're not already a decent writer, it might not even do that because you're starting at a high level. If you're not already a decent writer, you probably need to start well below. But if you're already a decent writer, then creative writing study will make you a better writer. It will improve the skills you have, but greatness is still up to you. And greatness is ephemeral. You can't teach it. You can teach someone to become better, but to become great, that is all in here, and wherever else you happen to find it. So don't expect to go to graduate school and then to come out becoming Ernest Hemingway. It's not going to happen. But you will get better. Secondly, a creative writing degree is not going to get you published. I know this is a huge disappointment for a lot of people. There may be some exceptions. There may be some graduate programs out there where they promise publication upon graduation. I have not seen those programs. That was not my program, but there were a lot of things going towards publication. I did learn a lot about the publication process. I had my work vetted by a professional agent and professional editor in graduate school, which is really, really good to help me improve my work and get it more ready for agents and editors down the road. But there's no guarantee of publication. If they do promise publication, double check that. Maybe it is in their school journal, which is something, that's a credit you can put to your name, but it might just be like an online publication. Remember, anyone who has an online account in anything is a publisher nowadays. A person on Facebook who clicks a post, shows how old I am, Facebook, right? Twitter, TikTok, whatever. When you post something, you are publishing, which means you are a publisher. So the word publish is kind of thrown about willy-nilly these days. If you want to actually publish a novel in a full hardback, paperback form and sell it in bookstores, there's no guarantee that a creative writing degree is going to do that for you. And lastly, a creative writing degree is not going to make you rich and or famous. You will meet some people who might be a little more famous than you. Who I met Marlon James. He was a graduate of my program several years before I got there. He's the author of A Brief History of Seven Killings, which won the Booker Prize. He wrote the intro to, or Neil Gaiman wrote the intro to Marlon James's latest book, so he's a big up-and-coming author. That was pretty cool. Met him at a conference, met some other people who have bigger names than I do, and that is a good thing. It is a positive about graduate school, is you do make connections like that. But you yourself are not going to become rich and famous from it. As a matter of fact, you're going to spend money in graduate school, and that is something to consider as well. You're going to come out of there most likely poorer than when you went in. Hopefully you can get a publication deal down the road, or write a whole bunch of stuff and self-publish it and start making money down the road, but in the short term, it is going to be an expense, and in the long term, there's no guarantee of big riches or fame. So if those are your reasons, if you want to get published, you want to become a brilliant, great writer, if you want to become rich and famous, there are other paths, easier paths than a creative writing degree. Unrealistic expectations out of the way, a creative writing degree may help you do some other things. And all of these things are things that studying for my degree helped me with. So I'm not just sharing this as random information. This is actual parts of my writing process, parts of my writing life that I improved through the process of earning my degree. One of them was developing your own writing process. I didn't have so much of a writing process. I just kind of wrote willy-nilly. I still kind of do. But I did develop a writing process in graduate school that is reliable. I know if I can sit myself down and create the time to do it, that if I follow through that process, I can write a novel again and again and again. It is a repeatable process. And I had to learn that through a lot of trial and error and talking with other writers and a lot of reading and a lot of practice. But a lot of the good feedback I got from creative writing really helped me, from my creative writing instructors, I should say, really helped me to develop my process as a writer. Also, it's going to help you recognize and improve on your strengths and weaknesses. It's going to recognize, you're going to see a lot more clearly where you're weak, because it's going to be pointed out to you, and where you think you're strong, you're also going to be kind of weak there. There were parts of my writing that I thought were really strong, where people were like, some of my instructors were like, you could probably improve this a little bit. And then there were parts that were really weak. I was pretty weak in description. I've come a long way since then, but I was pretty weak in description when I first went to creative writing school. I was very much following the Ernest Hemingway school of minimal writing, and that is a pretty good stylistic choice, but at the same time, it left a lot of description lacking in my stories. I'm not Ernest Hemingway, so adding that back in and developing that really made me a better writer. So I was able to better recognize my strengths and weaknesses. Also, understanding the life of a writer, what a writer goes through, what it is to live the writing life. Whether you're making a living at it or not, there are commitments that you have to make. There are sacrifices, particularly sacrifices of time, but also some sacrifices of finances and sacrifices of relationships, things like that, that you're going to have to make. And rewards. There are rewards to the writing life, not just getting published. That's not the only reward, not just selling books or getting accolades. There's lots of other rewards to the writing life, and you might not know all of those as an amateur writer, not having a big professional network. So the master's programs will give you that professional network where you can start broadening your knowledge and experience of the writing life. It will also help you learn the ins and outs of the publishing process. Again, it's not going to get you published, but it is going to teach you about how to write query letters, how to write synopses, how to come up with an elevator pitch for your project. It's also going to teach you throughout the process, you're going to learn all about outlining, you're going to learn about characterization, you're going to learn about lots of different things that tie in to publishing and editing. So you get to, from first draft through revision, the query letter and beyond, you're going to learn all of that in graduate school. And that is excellent stuff to know. Again, no guarantee of publication, but it will be a shortcut Because otherwise you're going to have to research a lot of that stuff on your own. It can take a long time. It's not as simple as a quick Google search. Not even today. As I said before, it's also going to introduce you to people on a similar path, friends and fellow craftsmen who you can turn to for feedback or inspiration. You're going to have a network that you can rely on to communicate for the rest of your life. I don't talk to so many people that I graduated with anymore, but I know I can. I've talked to a few of them since graduation, and I get in contact here and there with my old college, and I know I've got contacts in the writing world who I can interact with and learn from, cheer on, encourage, get cheers on and encouragement, and possibly eventually collaborate with them. And all of that is a positive. Of course, a creative writing degree wouldn't be any good if it didn't help you with the writing itself. And it is going to, learning the degree, studying under professional teachers who have been published before, who know their craft, is going to help you with your critical eye for story and wordcraft. It's going to help you develop your eye both in terms of giving feedback, because you're going to be doing that to your peers quite a bit within the program, but also in terms of taking feedback and using it to improve yourself as a writer. You are going to learn how to do both. And it's going to, if you have a very thin skin, it's going to help you get over that. It's going to toughen you up a little bit, because you are going to have to share your writing. And you might just be terrified to share your writing until you get a degree. Well, once you start studying creative writing officially, you're going to be sharing your writing regularly, and it will get you over that fear. So that is a plus. And just understanding story, understanding character, understanding all of the aspects of writing better on a higher level and on a deeper level is going to help you as a writer in the long term. Most importantly for me, my creative writing degree, and part of the reason, one of the big reasons I went to get it, was it will help you get work done. Because you're going to have people you're accountable to, not just your instructors, but also your peers who are writing stuff who you need to comment on, and your instructors who you need to respond to on a regular basis. This is an ongoing thing when you're in graduate school. You're working every day. You're working on your writing pretty much every single day throughout graduate school. There's just no other way to do it. I did it while I was working full-time, while I was dating the woman who's now my wife, while I was trying to parent part-time. It was a struggle. I didn't sleep a whole lot during those couple of years. But again, for me, very much worthwhile, and I was able to get my work done. I've always had trouble finishing novels. I've always been really good at writing short fiction, writing scripts and stuff like that, but finishing longer work has always been a big problem for me, and I was able to get my novel done and make it something that I was proud of, thanks in part to the accountability and the deadlines that I had to meet. You probably know the importance of deadlines for getting work done, but sometimes it can be hard to hold ourselves to a self-imposed deadline. It's like, well, that was my deadline, but if I move it back a week, what am I going to do? Am I going to ground myself? Am I going to fire me? No. But if your teacher's holding you to a deadline, then it's like, well, I'm going to get graded. I've got to get my work in. And that can be very important. The deadline is a crucial thing, especially if you want to be a professional writer. Making deadlines is crucial to learn. So for all those aspects, all of those positive things are things that you can get from a creative writing degree. So when might you not want to get a creative writing degree? If you're not a good writer yet, and I did say this earlier, be as honest with yourself as you can possibly be. And if you can't be honest with yourself, please farm your work out to 5 strangers, to 10 strangers, put it out on the internet, and see what kind of feedback you get. And if a bunch of strangers who have no stake in your opinion say that your work is good, then you're probably ready to go ahead and further study to move up in the chain. If half of those strangers say, it kind of sucks, and the other half are kind of milquetoast about it, then maybe you need to work a little bit on your fundamentals before you're ready for graduate school. Because remember, graduate school is graduate school. I had to submit a 25-page portfolio to get into my grad school program, 5 short stories that I put together that I'd already actually written and published. I just put them together in a portfolio and sent it in along with my application to help me get accepted. But you're going to have some kind of credibility. You can't go to graduate school in creative writing to learn to write for the first time. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but it's not going to be as ideal for you, because a lot of what they're talking about is going to be over your head. And you need a high school level creative writing class to kind of start you off, which you can get some of that training online. You can get a lot of that training through YouTube. So get your fundamental training and do lots of practice before you even think about applying to graduate school in creative writing. Because if you're not a good writer yet, it's not going to be as worthwhile for you. If you're already a good writer, it'll make you a better one. If you're a mediocre writer, you might need to pick up some skills first before moving on. If you are broke or you're hoping to get a job from your degree, a degree is an expense either now or later, so don't take it on if you can't afford it. I was hired full-time in a teaching position, teaching English and creative writing, before I started my graduate study in creative writing. I was already professionally doing it, professionally teaching that information before I even started my degree studies. Again, I had a lot of background in writing and in studying and analysis, and I wasn't an English major, but a philosophy major. I knew all about argumentation and analysis and writing because I'd studied I'd taken every possible writing class at my former college, and I've been writing for money since, again, for at least 20 years now. But the degree itself is not just going to get you a job. My degree, earning my degree, what I learned in it helped me with my job. And some employers, some schools will give you a bump if you go up a level in degree, you go up a bit in qualifications. They may give you a little bit of a raise. And it might open up some doors for you. If you want to teach in college, then you're going to need at least a master's degree, although usually a higher level degree is preferred, but at least a master's degree is the bare minimum requirement for teaching at any four-year institution. So if you want to do that, then creative writing degree is a possibility, but creative writing jobs are few and far between. The writing degree, especially in undergrad, you still could get hired anywhere. The graduate degree, not necessarily going to help you too much with the job search unless you are going into my field, into teaching English and creative writing, in which case, absolutely, go ahead and get your degree. Just remember that it is an expense. I'm still paying off my student loans. I'm going to be doing that for a while. If you do not have or cannot make several hours a day, every day, or at least 5 or 6 days a week, if you can't make that time to work on your writing, it's not worth spending the money, because you have to do the work. You have to have time to do the work. The prestige of the degree is minimal, as I was saying. It's not going to help you that much having a degree. It is a nice thing to have. It's nice to brag about, to show off to people, and it is one thing to say, hey, look, at least some professional writers say that I can write, so I fall into this category. But it doesn't make you a published writer. It doesn't make you a professional per se. It doesn't make you an expert, or gives you some expertise, but doesn't make you an expert or a master at it necessarily, even if it is a master's degree. All that comes from practice and from doing your own work. So if you don't have or you can't make the time to do it, if you're broke, you really need a job, you need to pay your bills, or if you're just not a good writer yet, not a very good fit for you to go to graduate school, at least not now. Not in creative writing, anyway. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying this video, if this is helping you out, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. That really helps me as a content creator. I'd love to keep making more of these, so please like and subscribe, and let's continue on. So when might you want to get a creative writing degree? Well, when you know that you are a good writer and you want to take your skills to the next level, when you've had some independent, objective feedback, not from your best friends, but actual objective, from strangers who have either paid you for your writing or told you in reviews that your writing is good, and they've had no other reason to do that other than they liked your writing, then, and not just one stranger, but multiple strangers, whole groups, somebody's paid you for it. If you've had some kind of objective feedback that your writing is good, possibly a professor who has said you need to go into the writing field, then you might want to consider it. If you want to just learn more about the writing and publishing process, or even writing pedagogy, how to teach writing, if you really just want to enhance your knowledge skills and you can afford the time and money to do it, absolutely, go for it. If you want to expand your writing skills to take on new genres, I took playwriting when I was in college. It was the only creative writing class offered. I also took all the other writing classes, but they were all primarily nonfiction. I took a class in prose style and stuff like that. I took playwriting in college, and then I'd written a few plays and some graphic novel scripts up until I went to graduate school. Graduate school, I focused on fiction because that is my primary love, but I also minored in screenwriting. My teacher was a professional screenwriter. He actually does very well. He's got a couple of big movies out there, and I learned so much about that art from that it made me want to screenwrite too. So I'm working on screenplays as we speak. I learned a lot about that. So expanding your knowledge to take on new genres, let's say screenwriting or poetry or creative nonfiction. If you've been writing fiction for a while and you want to write a memoir and you're not sure how to do it, then dive in. Or if you've been writing nonfiction for a while and you know you're a good writer at that, but you're not sure how to tell a fiction story, Creative Writing Graduate School can be a great place to learn that new skill if you already have the fundamentals to work with. Again, if you want to meet new writers, meet more writers, and expand your network, get to know more people in the writing and publishing world, great place to do it is Creative Writing Graduate School. If you currently have a job or a career path that ties directly into a creative writing degree, again, I'm a creative writing teacher as well as an English teacher. Creative writing graduate studies tie into both of those. And so once I had that job, I didn't start creative writing graduate school until I had that job. I worked for 8 years in corporate purchasing, and I didn't do graduate school then, even though I had more time on my hands back then, because it didn't tie directly into my job, so I didn't see any direct benefit that I might make out of it. But now, there's definitely benefit to it because I can take what I learned in graduate school and apply it directly into my job. Lastly, if you need a qualified professional to give you feedback on your work and to hold you to your deadlines so you get your damn writing done, definitely graduate school is a good way to go. Because once you're in graduate school, you're paying them to do just that. You're paying them to hold your feet to the fire to make sure that you get your writing done. You're paying them to make sure that your writing is the best damn writing can possibly be. They're going to review it and give you feedback on it. They're going to hold you accountable to getting your deadlines held. If you need a coach like that, getting a creative writing degree is a fantastic way to do it. Since literally every one of those reasons applied directly to me, I felt like the creative writing degree was a good call. And no, I don't regret it. It made me a better thinker, a better writer, a better teacher of writing. Overall, it just helped me immensely. I learned the fundamentals of finishing short stories, screenplays, and novels, along with the details of the publication process, the production processes, and that helped me as a writer and a writing instructor, and overall, I think it's going to pay off well in the long run. But again, I am still paying off my student loans, and I'm going to be paying them off for a while now. I graduated 5 years ago from my graduate program. So that is something to keep in mind. So all of these things are things to think about when you are considering whether to get a graduate degree in creative writing. The choice is up to you. Don't have expectations that are through the moon when it's going to get you shy of the moon. The actual degree is going to get you shy of the moon some ways. Okay, but also you don't need to think that it's worthless because it definitely has a good payoff. So now, you just need to make the decision, is it worth it for you? Thank you guys for tuning in. Do you have a creative writing degree or any experience with formal creative writing training? If so, please post about it in the comments. I'd love to hear your experience. Are you considering going to creative writing graduate school, but even after this video, you're not sure whether you're a good fit? Talk about it in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective on that. Now don't forget to like and subscribe. So like this video and subscribe to the channel, guys. That really helps me out as an independent content creator. I'd love to help you out with your writing process by making more of these. So let me know how I can help. Like and subscribe to the video. I will see you next time. Until then, good writing. Peace.